Now introducing the sauce of the
Thank
year.
you. I would like to thank...
Hot sauce is better.
So can somebody get him out of here? I'd like to thank, all the supporters. We worked really hard on this. This is the best sauce, I think, on the planet.
Didn't you guys just pay to win the award?
Yeah, he might be right. He might be right.
Welcome back to the MC show. This is something we have never done on this page before. We are going to predict what type of game will win Game of the Year for 2024. And we'll see if you'll be able to predict what the Game of the Year will be. And we will make another video once that Game of the Year is announced to see how we did. And disclaimer, we've been right about a lot of things on this show. But for 2023, congratulations to Baldur's Gate 3 for winning Game of the Year. I didn't even play it, and to those who didn't either, it's an RPG style game based off of the tabletop game Dungeons and Dragons. So there's fantasy, role-playing, skills, and everything you can think of for a RPG. But really, it doesn't matter. It sold over 20 million copies. To put that in perspective, that's your Pokemons, that's your GTAs, that's your Call of Duties. So really what we're saying, it was a global hit. To me, I always say Game of the Year is something that is groundbreaking. The exact definition of groundbreaking is breaking new ground, innovative, pioneering. What video game is innovative? Not only innovative, but fun to millions and millions of people.
Yep, that's me. No, you can't stop me. Let's go.
I can make an innovative game. I can make Malik go to the grocery store to buy an 8-liter of soda. No one's done it, but is it fun to millions of people? Maybe, I don't know. In 2022, Game Awards rewarded Elden Ring as Game of the Year. An open world adventure game, fighting game that is extremely difficult, and millions of players bragged every day of doing no-hit runs and I defeated this boss in this amount of time. It's very rare for a game to be bragged about around the world for saying, hey, I beat this. Game Awards says recognizing a game that delivers the absolute best experience across all creative and technical fields. I actually agree with that. I don't have much of an argument about that definition. Should there only be one Game of the Year? I feel like that is probably an objective statement to say, yeah, there should be one Game of the Year. But let's take a look. Let's take a look. Baldur's Gate, adventure. Elden Ring, adventure. It Takes Two, adventure. The Last of Us, adventure. God of War, adventure. Witcher 3, adventure. Skyrim, adventure. I could keep going, but it's obvious the last decade or so, adventure games, RPG type games have won Game of the Year. Gamers love to explore worlds. It's like being inside of your favorite TV show or your favorite comic book. But I always use this term on this page a lot because we play a lot of simulation games, is immersion. I want to be immersed into a game. And I think that's why maybe we don't divide them all into different genres. Maybe adventure games is just what makes a Game of the Year. It's hard to be immersed in a Madden or Call of Duty that have been games that have looked the same or done the same thing the past 20 years. Something like the studios at From Software, you know the world will be unique, the adventure will bring you back, and the ending will be worth it.
I expected no less from you, my boy.
So let's all agree here, the winner might be an adventure game once again, with a dash of role-playing in there. Every time I get on TikTok, there's another random game trending. Most recently, Only Up, where you basically climb up this like dreamscape and you could fall off and you have to start over. It wasn't bad. It was not a Baldur's Gate though. I would say it crossed groundbreaking, but innovative? Most creative and most technical? Also, that popularity did not travel that far from TikTok. It didn't travel to people on PlayStation. It didn't travel to people on Xbox. It didn't even travel to people who play competitive games. It didn't travel to anything outside of people who've seen it on TikTok and thought it looked fun. To me, it didn't win Game of the Year based off of it just being a trend. And let's explain the difference between a trend and true popularity. Cosplay, records, fan art. You can really tell when a game is truly popular or just the trend or just a marketing push. When people are spending their own time taking a part of your product, that is true popularity. Let's keep this in mind about Elden Ring. A lot of that hype came in that same year. So if you want to elevate yourself above every game, you gotta win that year. You can't come 2028 and say, hey, we came out in 2022, so we should have won Game of the Year. No, you have to rule that year. So let's clear the air. One of the games that people thought could have beat Boulder was Spider-Man. You're Spider-Man. You're supposed to sell millions of copies. It's not groundbreaking. It's not innovative. You are an established character. That is a fandom that a game can't technically compete with. But the fact that Boulder Gate was able to compete with you, I don't think you should be in that category. Dungeons and Dragons was never truly owned by one entity. You could play a million different versions of Dungeons and Dragons. The main point of Dungeons and Dragons is creativity and immersion. The fact that Boulder Gate was able to add that Boulder twist to a video game is very groundbreaking and very innovative. And the fact that millions and millions of players thought the same thing, mission accomplished. So compare that to a hero game where everybody knows the hero and probably still did not buy that game. Tells me everything I need to know. We need more hero game options. That new Blade looks really good. A good villain game would be nice right now. I'm not gonna lie. If you made it this far, comment what you think your personal game of the year was. Mine was 2014 Sims 4. I didn't play anything else that year. And that got beat by an adventure game, Dragon Age. But let's get technical. I think the best part of Game Awards' definition of game of the year is that best technical game. I don't have a lot of knowledge in technical game development. I am developing my own Roblox server, by the way. Go ahead and check that out. But I do know being able to run on multiple consoles is very important. We're seeing it with games like Palia, who's trying to get their game to run great on a Switch. Games like Starfield did not launch well on PC because they were so focused on Xbox. Spider-Man, they were like, we're losing a lot of money. Let's release a version on PC. And then you got games like NBA 2K, who still hasn't moved their next generation console version to the PC version. As a development, you have to decide on where do we want to put that focus on. Well, I mean, Elden Ring did it. Elden Ring launched perfectly on every console. I can play it on my PC, I can play it on my PlayStation, Xbox, it doesn't matter. It's gonna run the same on all of them. I feel like we mentioned this game a ton for the MC show, but GTA is another good example. It runs well on most versions of the game. But look, I know it's not easy. It's like taking a photo of your finished product and then replicating that photo with different cameras. But as a game developer, this has to be one of your first decisions if you want to make a push for game of the year. How many consoles can we get this game to run the same on? And let's be honest, that's the future. Cross-platform. Let me play with my friends on Xbox while I'm on PlayStation. Let me download my game on PC and my Xbox. Last thing is graphics. I mean, I feel like you gotta talk about them. That's just because graphics is in that checklist of things you decide for if a game is good or not. I'm really big into having a unique art style. If the game has a unique art style, you really can't put it up to a game that has good or bad graphics because that art style is meant for that game. But if you have a similar art style as the rest of the games on the market, my best example is something like a Call of Duty. You could probably find a Call of Duty type model in a lot of other games. The Call of Duty models are matching the AAA graphics of the time. Every single year they drop. Another good example is Fortnite. Fortnite matches their graphics to whatever the AAA is of that time. Realistic doesn't really fall into this category. I think it just has to look clear. It has to look like it's not made in 1987 and you're good to go. Things like Unity are helping a lot with this for smaller devs to be able to compete with larger studios. But I'm just being honest, man. The day that a 2D game or a pixel game wins game of the year, that game will have to be amazing. I just think 3D games kind of rule the space of game of the year, which is not a terrible thing, but I think game of the year will be 3D. I think it will look good. I think it will have great looking graphics. Not a bad thing. I think it's just where we are with game of the year right now. Money, money, money. I feel like we bring that up here all the time now. The gaming industry is a very, very large industry. That doesn't mean the top games are not funded by the top companies. It's very rare for an indie game to be able to compete with a studio that is able to pay hundreds of employees. So maybe we're wasting our time trying to predict the game of the year. Maybe you just pay attention to whatever the largest studio is that's putting the most money into a game. And that goes into marketing, that goes into the company that awards the award. But let's not be negative. My game of the year prediction will be an adventure game. It will be a world we have never seen before or walked around in. It will have the newest graphics out, and it'll have a dash of role playing or character customization. If you made it to the end of this video, let me know your thoughts. Am I completely off for my game of the year prediction? Do you have some things to add to the parameters we've set? And do you already have an early winner like Pal World? But until next time, it's MalikChildish. I'm gone.